Okay, we've got tendril, we've got loins, we've got decorations, we've got rings. Okay, those are the basic tendril type things we're going to be working with. Bubble sugar we have, ribbon. Okay, this is the next phase, and this takes some patience and it takes some playing around with. Okay, I'm going to heat this up because
if you notice, I've been bringing down microwaves for sugar class because
that's why we have a stack.
But be careful when you're heating this up. Low power or only a few seconds at a time. And because once you start to boil this, you're back at stage one again. Okay, they only take a couple seconds to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a.
you can put the sugar underneath, you know, the sugar that's been pre-made for cooled and blown. You could put it under the heat lamp just like Chef did, but it takes time. The nuking it just speeds up that time a little bit.
When they're pieces like this, it's thin and they will heat up fairly rapidly. I put these in like at 8 o'clock this morning or something. So, okay, I'm going to make a fairly good sized ribbon. I'm going to shoot for about 2 inches wide or so. It's going to be probably about this long. And I've got all the tools I need to cut this right here. Do into blowing in just a bit. Okay. I'm going to do
If you think about how many times he's used that red for different things, but the scraps keep coming back over here, warming up, and reusing.
if they flow into each other, always put the lighter color into the dark. Otherwise, I put this red in here, I'm going to turn this pink. Okay. The method I showed you before, I pull it out, and I satinized, I looped it up, pulled it out again. This I'm going to pull out, and I'm going to take the scissors right into the very middle of the ribbon and cut it so it ends up having a little bit stuck to each other and hinge it like this. Okay, so it's going to be quick, so I just want to head you up here what's going on. Again, this is a quick way of satinizing to make a ribbon. Is to roll it out. Even the wood is good. This is a heat sink. Still want it flexible. Center it on the edge. Don't put it back in the middle. Think about where that heat is.
We'll do some cake pans, saran wrapped, and just have them ready every class. So we'll have things ready, prepped, always.
Now this has been satinized already, so you don't see the bubbles right away, but then all of a sudden, with a couple quick turns, there it's back to being shiny again. Get it out. I'm going to do one more. And you can actually plan your ribbon by using some lined notebook paper and put the colors, cut the paper, fold it back together again, see what you want. Use a magic marker or something like that. That way you can get an idea of what the ribbon's going to look like, because you're going to see, once we start folding it, it's going to double up on the color in the center. So now we have these pieces. Let's put them together, side by side. Okay, like this. Make sure we're not touching the very center. Pull it out. Feather it a little bit. Don't touch it. Don't grab it. Hinge. Stick. Pinch these together. Grab it there again at the very end. Pull it. And what we're looking for is that we still have these distinct lines. pull from the thick place up here. And actually let gravity work its way. I'm not going to go anymore, but now I'm going to do a little shisha. And this evens it out while I'm pulling my arms apart. Or wider, I'm not pulling my arms apart. Here's your wave.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And put the other end of it off. These could also be a tail feather for a bird. Okay.
And think of things that you can put against it so it keeps that angle you're looking for until it cools. And it cools quickly.
Yeah.
But a little bit of aluminum foil with something. But just be careful, sometimes it sticks to things. You might have to light oil.
I'm putting this back in here so you can see what happens when I put those two colors back together again. So now this is cooling off here, and now I'm going to cut it up into some pieces that I'm going to make bows with. You could cut it with the scissors right away, and you'd probably get a few of them, but it's nicer just to let it cool off a little bit. Heat this up with a knife. Just don't squash down through your silk hat. You don't want to cut the silk hat. These are valuable tools.
It's so thin at that point that it's going to cut very quickly through it. It'll melt out cleanly.
That's awesome.
And this last one, I'm going to cut at an angle, because this will be the end of the ribbon. Any sugar pieces that you see on the table, get rid of them. Move them away, because once you start working them into the sugar, it could form some, and you can see some tiny little bubbles or little bits of sugar, but not a bad thing. Okay, this guy, it's hard to see the flame.
But know it's there, it's going to burn you.
Can you see it? What I'm going to do here is now, I'm going to turn it over. You can see, and this is what you want to hear. The washboard, the banjo and everything, we got it all going. That's because the sugar was still in a very good space that we could keep it in shape. Okay? You can lay these things out when you're doing production ribbon. Kind of put these over here in a warm spot, not in the center because you don't want to melt it again. Right in here. Then you can also hold it up here, not too close, but make sure that you're warming it up evenly. And what I'm going to do here when I make this into a bow is I'm going to actually push this together and then pinch the end of it, because we want the bow to fit together, not square ends to it. So now we got that. Okay? Now, with the flame, just a whoop, right there. Heat it up maybe just a little bit more, and then pinch. Yep, a little more. There, we should keep it up. Yep. Got a place that I got cool. That was that last turn. You got to be really careful. Keep it moving. And just separate it. That's okay. But try to warm it up evenly so it bends evenly. You can wrap this around a tube or something, but I tell you what, other than the pair of scissors, these two things are your best tools. Your hands. That's good. Now I can go like that. You can make them even, you can do all kinds of things with them. So, let's see what I'll do. Yeah, see? Sitting there under the heat, made it nice and soft. Little hit there, stick it. It doesn't take much. to adhere them. And plus this is so thin that you don't want to apply too much heat, otherwise it'll melt your ribbon. On the periphery, alright, so we'll use these for those little guys. But you can see even still sitting over there on the edge, and like I said, this, you can see the double line in the center. That was because the two reds came back together again. So you can figure that all out with a piece of paper. It's a whole lot easier than that than trying to figure it out once you're doing the sugar. Once you've done it a few times, you can get an idea. But it's always nice to have a start. So I've got that. And always test it. Don't push it, but just test it to see where you are with how soft it is. Because you saw how easy it is to break. Now the reason I'm bending this in this way is so they will fit together like that. And always heat it on both sides of it, because if you just heat it on one side, it won't bend. See how I'm saying? It's like a little production here. By the time I got done with that one, this one's ready to bend. And again, this could be a decoration for a piece of the cake torte. And these will cool off very quickly. Okay, now we'll make the ends of the ribbon. This is going to be just a small little bow. So. But again, heat it up, test. A cue. And this is the ends of it. It's a little thicker. But you can see just the weight of it, you'll see when it starts to be able to be bendable. And this is another reason why you need to play with this. I'm making it, you're going to go, how did it do that? But this is tough. Like I said, I still work at this and it's not easy. You have to play with it, but like I said, once you understand how it can be manipulated, what the temperatures are like, it's going to be a lot easier to understand what you can do with it, and then how to apply it to whatever situation you want. One of my students was having this real struggle one day making roses, and I'll make a rose in a minute. And she just couldn't, no, it was blowing balls. She just couldn't get it. They were blowing all over the place, they're sagging, doing all kinds of weird things. And she was really mad at me. And I was going, well, what can I do? She says, it's not you, it's me. I'm trying to figure this out. And so she just leave me alone. She went off in the corner, and about 45 minutes later, she came back with these beautiful blown balls. And I thought, it's just, you just got it. So, it's I'm not saying it's a dying art, but there's not many people that do this other than pastry chefs that are in hotels and things like that, and they'd probably even be asking whether you have that skill or not. But even, like I said, even in the smaller operations, one little thing can make a difference in what you can price a piece at. You want your cake at $3 or do you want it at $7? Okay, let's put this bow together. Yeah, that's a mess, huh? Okay, I know you can't see the flame so much, but it's still there. And he's only going to take a little bit, and stick it together. Oops. Real deal, okay? And some of these things, you know, you got a plan, but once you get there, it's, well, I got the pieces, they're gonna go there. And when I heated that up, it actually heated the ribbon up too, so you have to push it back. I'll tell you of a near disaster I had. Should bring this out circle. Got to this venue with this wedding cake with this abstract blown couple, and that was the top piece for the wedding cake. I took it out of the box. I had it taped down with a tape loop, put an offset spatula in it, and started to pry it, and it went sailing over the table onto the floor and broke in several pieces. Yeah, I was really upset.
What's the
But
best way to deal with that situation?
what you do, good question. The florist and her helper were standing there watching me do this, because I brought several batches. I think the oxygen went out of the room, for one thing. And we just kind of, okay, I didn't bring a backup for it. I hope I'm not going to do it here in this one. Because it's stuck to this thing. That's okay. Ella, you hit me first. I went over, picked it up. I did have a little torch with me. And I put the pieces back as best I possibly can. And it didn't look too bad. It was a pretty good piece, so it held up pretty well.
This is so satisfying to do.
And then I put it back together again, and the couple was going to stay in the area, and I called them up the next morning. I said, you know, I'm sorry, I'm going to replace your centerpiece topper, because I had a box with a little dome that would go in and everything. So you want to do that? I says, well, no, I broke it. I says, well, you know, I did notice a few cracks in it. And so I did it away and doing other pieces too. The funniest thing that this is a couple with lampshades over their head. We didn't ask them why. We would like a bruncher couple to go on the top of our wedding cake, and we want them to have lamp shades on their head. Okay, I can do that. I didn't ask anything. I just decided, okay, you don't do that. Okay, we've got a ribbon, okay, so that's really good. All these kind of pieces. Now, what was I going to do next? A rose. Everyone makes a rose differently, whether it's sugar, buttercream, marzipan, whatever. When I was telling you about that pastry chef that came to visit us at the CIA and did that demo, he asked all the bakery instructors to come up and make a piped rose. 13 chefs came up and made a rose. Every single one of them was different. The one that impressed me the most was Joseph Amendola. He says, when I was apprenticing to be a pastry chef or baker, we didn't have the nails to do the roses on. Pulls out his pencil, pipes a rose in the top of the pencil, just like that. See? That's all it takes. All right, so this, you can make a cone to attach your petals to and everything, but okay. I think about where am I going to apply these things. It's going to be a centerpiece or a wedding cake. You don't want to have a whole lot of weight. So the technique I use is I make a short little ribbon and roll it up to make the very center part of the rose, and then I'll make petals. And the way that we make petals, let's do that first, is you satinize this, okay, pull it open like that, and then you push up. I'm not touching the edge of the sugar, you see that? All right? Then right at the very edge here, you pull it out. And then right in here, I'm going to reach deep inside. I don't know if you can see that. Right here, here, and then pinch it off. And then you can round it a little bit into your hand, which is another great tool to mold. And now I have a petal. Okay? That's one way to make a petal. Again, oh, you hear that? That's what you want to hear. You want to work with this as I say, cold as possible and without touching the sugar very much. You see, I kind of release it. I don't even grab onto it really. It's kind of like this. And you'll see that you'll end up having a better feel. You'll be able to manipulate the piece a little bit longer. But really, it's a short period of time that you're working with it. So again, you hear it? Pull out, it's like a little feather, grab inside, pinch it off. Again, then you can bend it a little bit. Those are leaves, okay, with the petal. Okay, let's make the rose. I tell you, I might be a little sore today.
And if you have a couple pieces on there, you can work from one to another. When one cools off, put it under there, let it warm back up. It's a temperature game.
Sometimes I like to work with a small piece. You can work with a larger piece as well. Get it? So it's, I don't know if you can hear it. And that's not my gloves. Okay, out, out. Now we're going to make another type of ribbon. I'm going to reach deep inside, right at that thick part of the sugar, and just grabbing it right there. See? It comes out like a big long tongue. And then fold this almost over itself, keeping it separate. So I do chocolate roses as well. So you can make that first little coil inside. Another one. I'm holding it with my fingers over here so I keep the sugar in one place, but then I